Yeah, we back. Yeah, we back. Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to the one I dropped yesterday entitled, "The Utah Governor is Shocked That Charlie Kirk Was Taken Out by His Own People." Now, if you saw that video, I reacted to the governor of Utah. He came out and made a statement, and he said he couldn't believe it. He said, I stayed up hours. I was praying that the shooter, the perpetrator, the assassin, I was hoping that he wasn't one of us. But of course, unfortunately, his prayers were not answered. And yes, it was confirmed that Charlie Kirk was taken out by his own people, just like I predicted. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, now we have the governor of Utah coming out and saying that the shooter, the assassin, was indoctrinated by leftist ideology, right? We have elected officials in the United States of America that are more focused on pushing narratives and pushing certain agendas instead of actually getting to the bottom of a crime, getting to the bottom of what took place, getting to the bottom of what happened, right? Instead of going on the search for the truth, we have elected officials instead trying to push their own narrative or score points against their political opposition. It's truly a shame, and you would only expect these type of things to take place in a third world country, because usually that is how politics is conducted in a third world country, where everything is weaponized against the political opposition, trying to score points against your political opponents, right? You don't expect these type of things in the United States of America. But just like in my video yesterday about the Pentagon cracking down on those who speak against Charlie Kirk, as we can see, the United States is definitely regressing to levels of third world politics. You know, we cracking down on dissent. We pushing, narratives against our political opposition, even if they don't make no sense. It's a whole lot of amateur charlatan behavior going on right now. It feels like amateur hour in the United States right now. It feels like one big comedy skit. Everybody trying to get in on the grift. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going to go into the clip. I'll be right back.
What we know so far, there are a couple things that we can confirm that have been reported. We can confirm that again, according to family and people that we're interviewing, he does come from a conservative family, but his ideology was very different than his family, and so that's part of it. And there clearly was a leftist ideology with this assassin.
Now, one of the biggest contradictions of the governor saying that is, on one hand, he says that the suspect was indoctrinated and radicalized by what he calls leftist ideology. But at the same time, he also says that the suspect is not cooperating with the authorities, right? Take a look up on the screen. The Utah governor says that the shooter is not cooperating with the authorities. So if the shooter is not cooperating with the authorities, then where did you get the evidence of his so-called ideology, right? It doesn't add up. If the shooter is not talking, then how can you draw conclusions on his political ideology or where he stands or what his motive could be, right? Unless you're just a grifter pushing a certain narrative for personal gain or personal reasons or to score points against your political opposition, right? It sounds like you have created your own narrative and you're simply coming with your own, your own version of events. Now, like I said before, we expect that from the grifters and the con artists in the media, right? Trying to get the advertising dollars on YouTube and things like that. But we expect more from elected officials, man. We expect more from elected officials. Anyways, let's take a look at some of the reactions on social media. This person said he literally went on live TV the day of and said that he really wished that it was someone from another state or another country and not one of his own. Anything he says after that should be disregarded. Exactly. This is the same guy who said that, man, I stayed up all night and I was praying to God. I was praying to my creator that the suspect wasn't one of my own people, right? I was praying to the heavens that the suspect wasn't my own people, right? And when the suspect came to light, he was disappointed at the fact that the suspect was his own people. So now he's come with a second narrative. Okay, he's my own people, but he was indoctrinated by the leftist ideology. Now, listen, now once you can't demonize a certain demographic, you have to demonize something intangible like ideology, right? Now, keep in mind, like I said, when it comes to us, they don't ever break us down into little factions and groups. When it comes to the black community, they just say, listen, it's the black community. It's black on black crime. That's what it is. They don't break it down and say, oh, man, he committed robbery because he was indoctrinated by the socialist ideology, right? Listen, stop. Oh, he was selling drugs because he was indoctrinated. He was radicalized by the capitalist ideology. You see, at first, they tried to break themselves up into factions. Oh, he was a leftist. He was a leftist. Then it came out that, oh, no, his whole entire family is straight conservative red Republicans. So now you can't demonize the demographic. Now we have to demonize something invisible, ideology, right? So like I said, man, they're going to break themselves up into factions, groups, ideologies, thought processes, anything to make them avoid the fact that this was simply just good old white on white crime. You know, white man killed a white man. That's all it is. Charlie Kirk got killed by his own people. People get killed by their own people every single day. It's not a complicated situation. It's not about ideology. Listen, it happens every single day. I guarantee even today, a white man killed a white man somewhere in the world today. And tomorrow, a white man is going to kill another white man tomorrow. Next week, a white man going to kill another white man next week. You know, it just falls into that category, into that statistic, right? We don't got to make it about ideology. We don't got to make it about political affiliation. You know, you got killed by your own people, bro. It happens every single day. But it's interesting that this is the demographic that's always preaching accountability and take responsibility for your actions. So that's why we should really stop. That's why I never really listen to these guys, man. Guys like Charlie Kirk and those guys on the right always talking about accountability. Because when it comes time for them to take accountability, we see how terrible they are at that. So to me, I never took these guys serious under the guise of accountability. All these guys are charlatans and grifters and con artists, as you can see. They want to be afforded all the nuance in the world, but when it comes to everybody else, they don't get that luxury. We got to break them down into different groups and ideology. I'm not playing along with your games, bro. Anyway, let's continue. Take a look up on the screen. This person said, this kid seems like 98% of the shooters that we have seen since Columbine. He's white, he's male, he's a loner, he's smart but alienated, he's withdrawn, he lives in the fantasy gamer world, and he has access to guns, and he's an incel. Now, like I said, instead of these guys taking accountability in the same way they preach for everybody else to take accountability, instead they're looking to outsource the blame onto anything and anyone. Anyway, let's continue. This person said, the LDS Church owns Utah and they want to make this go away. This Mormon young man from a staunchly Republican gun humper family has leftist ideology. Was he radicalized by one semester of online classes at Utah State? Now, that's the thing too. Not only did he only do a single semester down in college, right, when they say he was radicalized by the radical left, apparently those classes were online. So he did one semester of online classes, and they're trying to say that one semester of online classes was enough to destroy all the foundation that he got from his family, right? The leftist ideology took over his whole mentality, and that's what radicalized him to do what he did. And that's why I say these guys always talk about the importance of family, having a father in the home, but then they contradict themselves by showing us that apparently having a father in your homes doesn't mean anything, because the so-called leftist ideology is so powerful that everything your father taught you gets destroyed as soon as you sit in a liberal classroom. So that goes to show me that these guys, their fathers were weak, ineffective, and I don't ever want to hear another Republican conservative talk about black children having a father in a home, because as you can see, having a father in a Republican home doesn't mean anything. All these guys are con artists and grifters. Let's continue. This person said, if this was true, they'd be showing all of his radical leftist social media takes. The reason we're not seeing them is because it's all far-right groper shit, posted mainly in Nick Fuentes' Discord, which is why they're trying to bury it. Now, that's interesting. If he was so-called radicalized by the radical left, they'd be able to show us his social media. They'd be able to show us his YouTube, his Facebook, his Snapchat, his Discord, or whatever, where he's actually expressing these so-called leftist ideological beliefs. But because we have not seen any, and it's all speculation, and the governor is saying, oh man, he was indoctrinated by the leftist ideology, the same governor who's saying that he's not even cooperating with the authorities, so we don't even have any evidence or testimony, right? So that goes to show that his social media most likely aligns with far-right conservative ideological propaganda, but they don't want to show you that because that would expose to the world that Charlie Kirk was taken out by his own people. Not only his own people, but his own faction, his own ideological faction, right? Different rival factions under the same ideological umbrella. Happens every single time. Infighting amongst certain denominations and individuals of different affiliations. Happens every single time, happens every single day, right? Now, if you haven't watched it, check out my video from earlier today entitled, Did Charlie Kirk Have Beef with Nick Fuentes? Check it out, where I actually, dive in deep on that subject. Because if you ask me, I believe that the shooter more likely is aligned with the Nick Fuentes faction more so than he would be aligned with any radical leftist ideology. When you look at his profile, young, red state, Republican, gun lover, online heavy in these social media spaces, he is more aligned with the Nick Fuentes ideology way more than the, radical left ideology. But anyway, take a look up on the screen. Nick Fuentes, he actually said this: we don't know the whole story about Charlie Kirk's assassin yet, and the official story has some inconsistencies. We do know that tens of thousands of leftists celebrated his public execution for expressing basic conservative opinions. they must be held accountable regardless. So now Nick Fuentes, he's also running with the leftist ideology narrative. Of course, I understand, because he's trying to protect himself probably from any legal consequences if it actually comes out that the assassin was part of his ideological faction. Now, when it comes to me, like I said, it doesn't make any difference regardless whether it came from the left, whether it came from the right, whether it came from the center, whether it came from the back. It don't even matter. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was killed by his own people. When it comes to black criminality, we don't say, oh, the reason why he was carjacking was because he was indoctrinated by the socialist ideology. We don't say that. We just say, listen, it's just black criminality, just black on black crime. Just that's all it is. It's just black crime. And that's what it is. And Charlie Kirk, when Charlie Kirk was alive, he wasn't breaking us down into different groups. No, he just said it's just black crime. So we're going to treat him the same way. We're not going to give his perpetrator all this individuality and what type of ideology he came from and what type of religious affiliation he had. That does not matter. Why does that matter? We never take all this into account in any other scenario. This is the first time I've ever heard somebody commit a crime and we're actually trying to examine what type of sexual orientation he had, right? What type of person he was getting involved with in the bedroom. When was that ever relevant any time before? But you see, when your entire belief system is based on propaganda, you have to have a narrative to believe in. You have to have a narrative to push. There has to be an agenda to promote. So instead of just admitting that Charlie Kirk was taken out by his own people, you see them twisting themselves up into knots, trying to come up with a narrative. But the fact of the matter is, I'm sorry to tell you, Charlie Kirk was killed by his own people. Yes.
Charlie Kirk was killed by his own kind. I just want to remind you, Charlie Kirk was killed by his own kind. They can't, but what the fuck can they say? Say, he talked that black on black crime, got killed by his own kind. He talked that black on black crime, got killed by his own kind. He talked that black on black crime, got killed by his own kind.
Feel like a see me, I feel like I'm Saudi or ran up on Yan in the middle of Bamako. Enemy line, they claiming he innocent. Don't do no talking, I gotta move militant. Don't do no talking, I hit him with facts. 1804, bringing it back. 1804 like I'm Mother Cap Henry. King with the vision, the crown never empty. Top of the mountain, my soldiers defend me. Ducking and dodging the foreign intelligence. Hitting my dance on the DGSE. Dodging they traps, still on my feet. Feeling impeccable, feel like I'm shining. Go to my neck and I'm flooded with diamonds. Go to my neck and I feel like a mess. Feel like a lion, I'm in the savannah. Feel like the king when I'm up in the jungle. Never defeated, I never been humble. Come out victorious every encounter. Money machine give me help when I count it. Money machine stack it up in a beat. Heart of a king and I ride for the team. Weight of the world got it stuck on my shoulders. Bet you can feel it, my heart getting colder. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it sends shots, I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try, but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison, hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous, turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater. Yeah, gotta stay focused so when it sends shots, I gotta react. Cause I'm a target, I'm under attack. Grabbing a weapon, I tell her get back. Mission exposed, secrets unfold. Enemy try, but I'm still in control. Got your boy sitting in Bamako prison, hoping they wish we sending them home. Enemy know that we good under pressure. Been through the thunderous, turbulent storm. Shorty a diamond, I told her she pressure. Hop in a whip and I'm taking her home. Hop in a whip and I'm swerving, I'm smashed. Killing my enemies, one of my passion. Rocking this gold like we in bikini. Feel like the captain, I'm clutching a heater.